Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
My name's Natasha Hawker, founder and director of Employee Matters, an employee relations company, and I'm an employee expert. Think employment contracts, policies, recruitment, and terminations. We're great at helping small business who have limited time and money hire great people and, just as importantly, fire their non-performers. I've been working in this field consistently for 22 years, both nationally and internationally, and I've helped numerous businesses do their HR better. I've been nominated for Telstra Businesswoman of the Year and also Business of the Year, and I have hired, managed and fired over 15,000 employees. I'm regularly featured in the Sydney Morning Herald and the Huffington Post, and I'm a regular writer for Flying Solo and Her Business. I've also written a book called From Hire to Fire and Everything in Between to help small businesses navigate their employees and do their employee matters better. I think that running a small business is the toughest thing you can ever do, and I'm driven to help small business reduce their employee headaches and grow their businesses faster than ever before through their employees. Now, today we're going to focus on what your employees are costing you. We're going to talk about how much your employees actually cost you, and we're going to tell you how you can maximize the productivity of your employees. This session is literally going to save you thousands of dollars. And at the end of it, you'll be able to apply this after you've learnt this content tomorrow in your business and start saving money. So I want to give you as much value as possible. So let's get started. When I started Employee Matters, I realised that I needed to come up with a framework that could help me describe to my clients what we were going to do with them to help them with their employees. So I came up with a 9-step employee lifecycle methodology. This is my framework to take our employees or your employees from hire right through to fire with everything in between. So let's go through this in a little bit more detail. Step 1 is the assess phase. The assess phase is a diagnostic piece. This is an opportunity for you to review what you do in your business against what your employee relations obligations are. And that's it's regardless of what country you live in. So it's an assessment piece, and you need to get that right so you're complying with the relevant laws in your country. Step 2 is around hire. Hiring is, how do you hire the best employees into your business? What type of interviews do you need to do? Should you be doing behavioural, technical or cultural interviews? How do you make sure that you hire the best employees that you can possibly afford? Step 3 is manage. How do you manage your employees to motivate them, to make sure that you're getting the most productivity out of them? And what do you do when it's not going so well, when you need to manage somebody for non-performance? Step 4 is around policy. What policies must you have in your business? In every business, there are a number of policies that you must legally have. So we help our clients understand what those policies are. Step 5 is around well-being. Are you compliant with your workplace health and safety obligations? Do you understand how you can provide support to your employees when they need it? And are you compliant with the laws that you need to follow? Step 6 is around training, and I see this as a real missed opportunity for many businesses. Training your employees better can mean that they can improve their productivity overall for your business, but it can also help you reduce your liability. For example, you can run them through what your policies are. You can talk to them about what's appropriate workplace behaviour. How do you avoid a sexual harassment or a bullying complaint? That can all be done in that training step. Step 7 is around engagement, and this is the one that I'm particularly passionate about. How do you build a highly engaged workforce so that you can reap the benefits around productivity and learning how to make your employees want to love to come to work and work harder for you than they've ever worked for anyone else? Step 8 is around measure. This is the hard numbers. What are your employees costing you, and how can you maximise your spend? And then the last step here is exit. How do you make sure that employees exit your business smoothly, whether they've resigned or whether they've been asked to leave the organisation? And how can you capture information about their experiences that they've had with you, and so that they talk about your business in a very positive way? Today, what we're going to spend most of our time talking about is measure. And measure is where those hard numbers are. How do you understand what those costs are to your business? Now, most small business owners have never been taught this information. They don't understand how to put some hard numbers and some data around this. And most of all, they don't understand how to maximize their profitability. I'm going to show you very quickly today how you can understand your numbers and maximize them and use them as levers in your business to move forward. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get started. The first thing we want to find out is, what are employee metrics? Now, a metric is a measure. It's something that you can quantifiably assess within your business. A business metric that you would be more familiar with are metrics that you're able to track and assess and monitor. And a business metric typically would be things like your revenue or your gross profit margin. They're very typical business metrics which most business owners are familiar with. But then what we're going to talk about is where we're spending most of our time today is employee metrics. And they're the metrics that measure your employee costs. And that way, once you know what they are, then you can track, measure, and assess your performance against those. So what are some examples of employee metrics? Some of these you may have in fact heard of. The first one I'm going to talk about is headcount. How many physical people work in your organisation? How many employees do you have? One thing I would suggest here is, with the change in the workforce demographics, many companies are using offshore VAs. And I would include these in your headcount figures because whilst they are offshore, they are a cost to your business, but I would use them on a separate line because obviously their cost base is significantly cheaper than what you're spending on your resourcing here in Australia. FTE stands for your full-time equivalent employees. What that means is if you have 5 full-time equivalents, then typically they are working 5 lots of 35 hours per week. But this formula allows you to actually understand what all your part-time people add up to. So, for example, if you've got a number of part-time people that combined make a number of FTEs, then you can understand, and you're measuring apples and apples rather than apples and oranges. The second last one here is your attrition. This measures the people that are leaving your organisation, that are resigning or are being pushed out of the organisation. So that's what attrition means. And the last one here is absenteeism. Absenteeism refers to things like annual leave, so your holiday leave. In Australia, it's 4 weeks per year. Or your personal leave, which was formerly known as your sick leave, which is 10 days per year. These are both for permanent employees or full-time. But it might also include things like jury duty in case one of your employees is called up for duty, or it could include community service. In Australia, we have a lot of people that volunteer to work for our National Fire Brigade to fight bushfires in Australia. So all of those would fall under different absenteeism rates or metrics. Now, these, I would suggest to you, are the bare minimum that you need to be thinking about when you're running your business. These are the numbers you must have. We're going to talk about these in more detail and some other metrics as well. So let's get into it. So why would you bother with employee metrics? Why do you want to understand this? It's just another thing that you've got to do. Well, I would suggest to you that data gives you power, and it gives you the ability to make more effective, more timely, and more useful decisions in your business. What doesn't get measured doesn't get done. And it's really important for you as a business owner to be able to move the levers in your business so that you can get the maximum productivity out of your employees. As a manager, it's really important that you have at your fingertips the data that you need to be able to make more effective decisions. Imagine being able to reduce your liabilities on your balance sheet because you're actively or proactively managing your annual leave. Imagine being able to reduce the number of sick days people are taking, or being able to identify that productivity in a particular department is far less than another department, and then you've got the information to go, well, I'll go and find out what that might be. It also gives you the ability, when you've got employee metrics, to forecast more effectively. What I mean by that is, we've just started a new financial year. Imagine if you had the ability to say, right, I want to add another $1 million to my revenue this financial year. If you understand what that headcount number is and that FTE number is, you're able to identify more effectively or forecast more effectively how many employees or resources or hours of work you're going to need in order to deliver the $1 million extra to your bottom line. The other advantage of data is that it gives you some trends. It can show you when things are trending in a more positive way, but equally it might be able to identify for you where there are problems. For example, say you had more people than the company norm leaving your sales department every month, and you couldn't understand why that might be. Now, the reasons for that might be things like the boss is not particularly popular in that department, or the targets that these salespeople need to make are unrealistic and unfair and unachievable.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.